cases in employment law, discrimination cases, and family law. She's the founder of the Skinless Project, which is a global women's empowerment platform. She's the author of More Than Pretty, a book dedicated to lifting and empowering women and young girls. So girls, I brought her for you. She's not easy to get. She is the student body president. She was student body president in high school, I remember, undergrad, and in law school. So you keep up the leadership. Ms. Muzaffar believes in developing leadership in girls, and she is the key to bringing, and that they are the key to bringing a bright, dynamic future. If you watch Windy City Live with Cheverini and on Channel 7, my dear friend was featured on Windy City Live for her pro bono legal work, helping those Muslims and others affected by the fly ban. And she was at the airport just waiting to help people, and all of her pro bono work. So it is my great, distinct pleasure to ask Ms. Maryam Muzaffar to please give the keynote address.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I am so honored to be here today with the staff, the teachers, the parents, the siblings, and all of you graduates today. I know, being a graduate 3 times, that it takes a village. So for the family members to be here to support you and all of you to be together, it's such a special moment. Many times I have seen videos of graduation commencement speeches, and I see people in the audience falling asleep or waiting for it to get over. So today is your day, and I want to make it brief, powerful, and special for you. I'm going to give you just a few key rules to life that I've applied and that I've learned, and I continue to learn. Because what you realize is that this is just a stepping stone to your next chapter in your life. And the rules sometimes stay the same and sometimes they change, but the dynamics continue. But you as a person will always stay the same. And that is key. Number 1, never give up. That is the key to success when you reach your goal. All of you have heard about Harry Potter. You know the success story, right? She got rejected 12 times. J.K. Rowling could not find a publisher to publish her story. And when it was published, she silenced all her negative spokespeople. So what is the message? You continue, you keep going, and no is actually a catalyst to your goal. Number 2, example of failure. Liz Blackwell. Have you heard that name? Anyone headed to med school? She's the first woman in the United States to get a medical degree, but nobody would accept her. Finally, she got admitted to a medical school because they thought she was a man. She eventually graduated. She opened up the first healthcare center for women and offered internships for female students because nobody else would. She never gave up. I stand before you as an attorney and very, very blessed to have the experiences that I have had. And Tammy is correct. I was student body president in high school, in undergrad, and in law school. And I've had the experience of a lot of great cases and a lot of great legal victories. But here's an interesting story. To become a lawyer, you need to pass the bar exam. I understood the law, and I had a passion to help people. But guess what? Multiple choice tests weren't my best friend. So I took the bar exam once, and I failed. I took it twice, and I failed. I took it 3 times, and I failed. I took it 4 times, and I failed. I took it 5 times, and I failed. And I passed the 6th time. The biggest lesson in that story is that I did not allow other people's definition of failure define what my abilities were or what I believed I was meant to do. So never let anyone tell you, and never ever give up. Number 2, as far as the rule, there are no experts. One thing you'll realize as you go to college, that you'll have a lot of people who sound real smart. And you have a lot of professors who know everything. And you want to impress them, and you want to believe their critique about you. Always remember that experts are just people who didn't know something at a certain time, so they figured it out. So you are an expert in the making, and don't let any experts intimidate you. Number 3, words. Your words will shape who you are and will take you to your future. If you believe that you are somebody that is passionate and worthy to contribute to this society, you will become that. Remember that little story about the little tugboat? I think I can. And he, or I would say she, did. There's a rule in my house with my children. I have a 9-year-old and 2 5-year-old twins. And the rule is, you cannot say the word, I can't. I would give you the same advice. I will, I am, and I can. See yourself in that position. See yourself in that future, and you will be there. Number 4, break your echo chamber. What I mean by that is that you cannot grow as a person if you surround yourself with people who are just like you and who agree with you. Because our job in this life, inshallah, is to always search for the truth. And you cannot find the truth if you have people who always tell you that your negatives or your faults are correct. So always break your echo chamber. Number 5, always put yourself in other people's shoes before you judge their perspective. This is key. We see this in the country today. We see this around the world. All of us have an identity, and all of us have an understanding of who is correct. But remember, the only way you can actually convince somebody that your argument is valid is to understand why theirs is to them. And for that to happen, you cannot walk into a meeting, into a discussion, in a conversation with judgment. You have to walk in with the humility. And you have to walk in to understand that when you teach someone, it's only valuable if you walk out of the room learning something as well. Always remember, whether you're an African American, whether you're Caucasian, whether you're Arab, whether you're Jewish, Hindu, you are brought into this world with certain identities. And the other identities have just as much as a claim on this earth as much as you do. Finally, do not let yourself be jaded. The things that I was passionate about as a child, the issues that I cared about when I was in college or in high school, are still the issues I care about now. They're about wanting to have equality. They're about wanting to have respect for other people. The reality is, a lot of times adults will tell you that you haven't been to the real world. The idealistic notions of having everybody equal and everybody is actually a good person and deserves what they need to get is not really how the world works. I would challenge them. And I would remind you that the vision of the world you have now is the vision that you can take with you to create that world. So be who you are now in your heart. And one more thing. Yesterday marked the 1-month anniversary of my father's death. I lost my father to cancer just recently. During that time when he was fighting for against cancer, there were 3 months that I spent with my dear father. And I held his hand, I spent time with him, I watched movies with him, I told him I loved him. And during this time, I was getting a lot of media interviews and a lot of recognition. And so he was able to see these things, and he was very proud. But what made him really happy during those days is that I spent time with him, that I held his hand, that I made him my priority and dropped everything else to be with him. See, it doesn't matter what your title is. It doesn't matter what your GPA is. It doesn't matter what your job preferences are. Success comes from being the person who shows up for the people you love. So I would say, as you move forward and you take decisions to have success in your life, remember to show up for those that you're leaving behind. Thank you, and congratulations.